Hello everyone, welcome back to my new video. So today our topic of discussion will be the process of erythropoiesis. So without any delay, let's get back into our topic. Firstly, starting with our definition. What is the definition of erythropoiesis? As we all know that RBCs, which are also known as erythrocytes, so from the name itself, the erythropoiesis that comes from the word erythrocytes, thus it means that it is the process of the origin, development and the maturation of the erythrocytes, or how it is the physiological process about the origin, about the growth and the proliferation of the RBCs. Next, the most important thing, where are they present or from where they are formed in our body? So the site of erythropoiesis. Now the site of erythropoiesis is can be varied from in or it can be divided into two cases. That is, firstly, we will be taking in case of the fetal life. Now, the fetal life, the condition of erythropoiesis is slightly different. So, how? Let's study this. So, firstly, in fetal life, the erythropoiesis occurs in three stages. So, what are the three stages? Firstly, there will be the mesoblastic stage. So, what happens in this stage is that during the first 2 months of the intrauterine life, the RBCs are produced from the mesenchyme of the yolk sac. Generally, what we know that the erythrocytes, what we commonly hear is that, or we have studied that erythrocytes are generally formed from the bone marrow. But however, in the fetal life, it occurs in three stages, and among the three stages, the first stage, which is also known as the mesoblastic stage, here the process of the RBCs or the erythrocytes are produced from the mesenchyme of the yolk sac. Second, being the hepatic stage, as from the name itself, hepatic suggesting liver. So, liver being the main organ that produces RBC in the fetal stage, the second stage. And lastly, but not the least, the myeloid stage. And this is the final stage. What happened is that, and it is the last 3 months of the intrauterine life. So what happens is that now the RBCs are produced from the red bone marrow and also the liver. So to summarize, what happened in these three stages are, firstly, the mesoblastic stage, here the erythropoiesis site being the mesenchyme of yolk sac. Second, the hepatic stage, here the main site of erythropoiesis is the liver. And third but not the least, the site of erythropoiesis being the red bone marrow and the liver, both of them. So now coming to the our second part, that is, firstly we have discussed about the site of erythropoiesis in fetal life, and now we will be studying the site of erythropoiesis in newborn babies, children and in adults. So let's study. Firstly, if we read that RBCs are produced only from the red bone marrow. So we all know that RBCs are generally produced from the red bone marrow, but however, let's get further deep inside it. So what's happening is that up to the age of 20 years, RBCs are produced from red marrow of all the bones, definitely. But however, after the age of 20 years, what is happening is that this RBC, which was previously being formed from the red bone marrow of all the bones, because before the age of 20 years, what happens is that due to the various osteophytic changes and the other factors, I'll not go into details into that because otherwise I will be deviating into some other topic. So let's keep our focus into the process of erythropoiesis only. What happened is that before the age of 20 years, almost all the bones in our body have this red bone marrow. But however, after crossing the age of 20 years, various physiological changes occur, that is the closure of the cleft plate and various other changes. What happening is that many bones start to lose their bone marrow. That is why then what happens that RBCs then are produced from the membranous bones. Now, what are membranous bones? Membranous bones, they can be the bones such as the vertebra, sternum, ribs, scapula, iliac bones and skull bones from the, and also as well as the end of the long bones. The long bones being the femur, most importantly the femur, and also it can be the humerus as well. So not from the completely. So if we consider these to be the femur. So what was happening, that end of the long bone, that is the, so if we consider this as the long bone's end, so from this region a small portion of the red bone marrow is present, and from here the site of the erythropoiesis generally occurs, or the process of erythropoiesis occur, which give rise to the red blood cells. Now also another fact is that generally also another thing, that the before the age of 20 years all the bones contain the red bone marrow, but however after crossing that age, this get, in most of the bones, this red marrow get converted into yellow bone marrow due to the deposition of the fats and other substances, and also to the fact that the process of the formation of the RBCs is very much required. So our body has the capacity or has the certain limit to somehow make up the process of the erythropoiesis go on continuously throughout the life. However, in adults also, in some cases, generally what happens due to some disease condition or any other pathological or physiological condition, if there is some problem with the bone marrow, then the liver as well as the spleen will help in the formation of the bone of the blood. That is, they will also be helping in the formation of the erythrocytes, and thereby being the sites of erythropoiesis as well. Now, the process of erythropoiesis. Now, how is this changes occurring? Firstly, let's study hemopoietic stem cells in the bone marrow are called uncommitted. So, before diving into this sentence, first we should know what are stem cells. So, stem cells are nothing but they are the specialized cell that have the capacity to differentiate into any kind of cells. Now what is happening is that we this nowadays this process of or the concept of stem culture is very much used, because these stem cells, which are actually present in our body as well. Now, to understand stem cell, we can understand it like the fact that they are the special kind of cell that have the potency to regenerate into an entire organ mass or any other parts of our body. Even the stem cell from the umbilicus nowadays is used to regenerate or grow back the lost or the amputated body parts as well. So let's keep our topic, let's not deviate into that part. So as of now, you just understand that in the bone marrow there are specialized cells which are known as the stem cells, and these are capable of giving rise to the erythrocytes along with the leukocytes and all. So another term is that uncommitted pluripotent hemopoietic stem cells. Now, why is the fact? Now, this, as I told, that the stem cell can give rise to any of the thing. For example, it can give rise to erythrocyte. It can also give rise to leukocyte. So, when it gives rise to if it gives rise to the erythrocytes, then it will be known as the hemopoietic stem cells. And also, they are why the term uncommitted and pluripotent. Uncommitted because right now these cells can grow into anything. It can grow into RBC, it can grow into WBC, or it can grow into any other organs or any parts of our body. So thus it is not committed into a particular thing. It can grow into all the three conditions and even more than that. But however, when they are committed to only forming a particular organ, for example, this cell is fully committed and dedicated to the formation of RBCs, so that time it will be known as the committed. In that situation, it will be known as the committed and pluripotent, because it has the multiple potency to give rise to many other cells. So that is why now at the starting stage it is known as the uncommitted pluripotent hemopoietic stem cells. And also PHC means the pluripotent hemopoietic stem cell. We will be using the term PHSC instead of fully pronouncing it. So PHSC is defined as the cell that give rise to all types of blood cell. Committed PHSC is defined as a cell which is restricted to give rise to one group of blood. Now, as I've explained this, so once these cells get into or becomes committed, so they can be of two types. Firstly, the lymphoid stem cell, which is also known as the LSC, that give rise to the lymphocytes and the natural killer cells, and also the colony forming blastocytes, which give rise to the myeloid cell. And this is something of our concern because from here actually the RBCs, the WBCs and all get or generation takes place. Now, why the term colony forming blastocytes? Because generally what happens is that during the process of the formation, this blastocyte actually forms a colony. So thus the name or forms a group. So thus the term colony forming blastocytes. Now the different units of colony forming cells are, firstly, the CFUE, the full form being the colony forming unit erythrocytes, which forms our RBC, being the main topic of this video. So, and next being the CFUM, that is the, now why the CFUM? It can be colony forming unit, either granulocytes or the monocytes, definitely, and granulocytes or the monocytes, such as the we all know that the three types of granulocytes means granulocytes are those that have granules in them. So you have all seen this kind of structure in our science textbooks as well. So these are nothing but the granules that are present in the nucleus. So they can be neutrophil, basophil and eosinophil, the granulites, and also the monocytes, and also the colony forming unit megakaryocytes, that is the CFUM. So thus the mainly three kinds, that is the E standing for erythrocytes, M standing for monocytes and the granulocytes, and it should be CFUGM, where G stands for granulocytes and monocytes, and lastly then only M being the megakaryocytes that ultimately forms the platelets. So let us understand this entire thing with the help of this flowchart. So firstly, in the bone marrow, what is happening is that there is the stem cell. And what kind of stem cell? Since it is not committed into any kind of particular formation, so uncommitted pluripotent hemopoietic stem cells. And thus after they get into some kind of commitment, so then they will be known as the committed pluripotent hemopoietic stem cell. And also finally they will be of two types. Firstly, the lymphoid stem cell, which will give rise to L standing for the lymphocytes, and the colony forming blastocytes. So why the term colony? Because they forms a colony or group. Now again they can be subdivided into 3-1. Firstly, colony for CFUE standing for erythrocytes, which ultimately gives rise to the erythrocytes, where it is represented as R, that is the RBCs. Next, the GM, that is the where G stands for granulocytes and M stands for the monocytes. Now granulocytes we all know that are 3 in number, that is the neutrophil, or it gives rises to neutrophil, the basophil, as well as the eosinophil. And at last but not the least, the colony forming M, where M stands for megakaryocytes, which later forms the P or the platelets. So we'll be discussing the rest of the erythropoiesis process in the second part of this video. So if you have any confusion regarding this video, do let me know down in the comment section below. And also before ending this video, I would like to add a special part, that the ratio of the formation of RBC to that of WBC varies. Now generally what happens is that the amount of WBC forming is generally more. So it is like 1:500. Now you can ask why? Because WBC have a lifespan of only 10 days and RBCs have a lifespan of 120 days. So what happens is that after every 10 days, this WBC will keep on degenerating. Thus there will be more requirement for the generation of this WBC. So that is why the amount of generation of WBC is more than that of RBCs. So that's it for this video. Thank you and have a nice day.